Today we have the all-new Mercedes C43 AMG for you, that all-new C-Class generation here in Selenite Grey Magno. This matte paint, really beautiful, of course, extra in price. Thomas and Autogefühl for you with a driving review of that new high-performance 4-cylinder engine. It is specifically built by AMG. That's different now, that one-man, one-engine concept. So that is actually an upgrade if you compare it to the previous generation. But will it be enough with 4 cylinders, and how good is the performance? We'll find out. Here in the front, already designed Panamericana grille. That means it's wider in the lower part. And then these vertical strips, you can either get like this in a chrome style or also in a darker style with a dark package. LED is standard, and optional, you can also get the so-called digital light with a elaborated high beam performance. Definitely a great performance look in the front. What do you think? The length in this generation, 4.79 meters or 189 inches. Little bit increased in the length. Also in the wheelbase, this will have an effect on the rear legroom. Wheels from 18 to 20 inch for the C43. Here, the biggest one, 20 inch, with this aerodynamic design, and they indeed also have an aerodynamic function. Then here it says turbo electrified. Zoom more to that, because the secret of this engine is that it has an electrified turbocharger from the Formula One team by Mercedes. So this is kind of this technology transfer. In the side profile here we have chrome frames around the window. I do prefer that. With the night package you can also get a more sinister look with dark frames, and you can also get a dark lip in the lower part. But to me, this way, yeah, that's the one I would spec, with Selenite Grey Magno in the color, and then also chrome frames around, and here also the mirror caps in vehicle color and not in the blacked out style. This is the sedan, typical sedan style. Here with a dropping line in this generation. You can also get the estate, the so-called T-Modell. T-Modell is, listen and repeat, the German name for the estate at Mercedes. Well, of course, it might be a good idea to combine performance and family use, for example. So tell me if you would go for the sedan or for the estate. You can tell me that in the comments. But here, from the pure form, the sedan to me looks a little bit more beautiful. And the rear lamps here, the tail lamps, already begin here at the side, are carried on right here. Beautiful dot design. That looks really modern indeed. With the night packages, by the way, you can also get, for example, the AMG badging and the Mercedes star in a dark design. That maybe is quite fancy. However, I would stick rather with this classic look. There will be 2 night packages, depending on how sinister you really want to have it looking. This spoiler lip, by the way, can also be bought in a carbon fiber style if you prefer that. But to me, this is the more subtle look. To me, this is the perfect C43 setup as it stands here right now from the exterior. Wait a minute. The AFAP is in action for you, the Autogefühl fake exhaust police, because this is one of the purest cases for fake exhaust. You have to admit, these fake exhaust tips, they do look very, very beautiful. They are very well executed, but they are still fake. Technology-wise, the suspension is an adaptive steel suspension. A full air suspension is not available. But since this one here is adaptive still, you can pick it according to the driving modes, and it does change. And also new and standard equipment indeed for the C43, a rear axle steering is 0.7 to maximum 2.5 degrees. The rear wheels turn in the opposite direction than the front wheels, and that actually reduces the turning circle and also gives you more agility at lower speeds. The normal C-Class, if you pick the rear axle steering for the normal C-Class, the threshold where it goes from opposite direction to parallel steering is 60 kilometers or 37 miles per hour. Here in the C43, the threshold is 100 kilometers or 62 miles an hour. So they put that threshold higher up, so you can even get more agility still when you're going like 80, 90 kilometers an hour or like 50 miles an hour. So that will be very interesting while driving. And now under the hood, let's talk about that. So a 2-liter 4-cylinder engine, but here one man, one engine concept. Before the C43 got a stock engine, but this one now is specifically built engine by AMG like you used to have in a C63. So is this kind of the more affordable C63 now? Here a strut bar or dome strut here also for more stability. This one does 500 Newton meters of torque, or in horsepower figures then it has 408 horsepower plus 14 horsepower boost from this electrified turbocharger. This is very interesting, and that again is this F1 technology. Acceleration figure is 4.6 seconds or 4.7 seconds for the Estate because it has a little bit more weight. So performance-wise, it is indeed an upgrade, and the engine itself is also lighter than the 6-cylinder engine before. However, the overall car is not lighter because added crash safety, infotainment system, and so on and so on. A little bit increased length and so on. So we'll see how that one plays out. So from facts and figures, everything speaks for the 4-cylinder. But does the feeling also speak for the 4-cylinder? This we will find out in the driving part. Well, and what is this electrified turbo for? That you have continuous charging pressure even at low RPM. Mercedes promises no turbo lag whatsoever then. Is that true? We'll find out. This is the car key. AMG badging then. Door closing sound. Oh, very nice. Then interior here. Slick materials. This then also Artico leatherette. And then we have this spaceship styling, I would say, but a lot of high gloss black materials. And what I do criticize is that you have this one button design with hashtag capacitive BS buttons. So this one button for all these functions it does have. Cool here, an optional Burmester sound system that gives you a great 3D sound indeed. Then a steering wheel with AMG styling, have the 2-spoke horizontal design in here. However, once again, hashtag capacitive BS buttons. They look nice and clean. One button then for all these functions, and to control it while driving is a little bit more complicated, definitely. The screen setup here, this is the big one that is also standard in the US. Left side 12.3 inch, right side 11.9 inch. In European markets, you would start with the smaller setup. So then you have to go for these here optional. The smaller setup is 10.25 left and 9.5 on the right side. As for the seats, you would start with normal sport seats, as you know from the normal C-Class. These here are the optional performance seats with these fake openings for racetrack seat belts that would go right here, but that's just a visual element here. Of course, more support, shoulder area, and also here at the side. So this, once again, an option. Would I take them? Not sure. Let me test right now. But first of all, from the seat materials, this is the optional animal skin pack. But I checked with Mercedes, both EU and US market do get the so-called microcut on the inside. Used to name it Dynamica, so microfiber on the inside and outside Artico leatherette. That's a great setup for comfort and raciness, and also friendlier for the animals. So that's supposed to be standard. We have to see the configurators later on, if that's also available in your market, but it should be available on most markets indeed. And from the comfort, you already feel, oh yeah, that is quite stiff. Not what you think. I'm talking about the seat. And yeah, I would definitely go for the normal sport seat indeed. The C43 to me is this combination of comfort and sportiness. Just pure sportiness would be the C63. And here then, I think the normal sport seat are serving a better purpose. These here would be better for the racetrack to keep you tighter. But they're really tight for, I want to use this car every day, Then 1.89 meters or 6'2", and that gives me still a lot of headroom. There is also a panoramic roof available if you like. And steering wheel, electric up and down, in and out. And the rest of the seat controls are here on the inside once again. However, the thing is, they do not move anymore. They don't give you feedback. And now the interesting thing is, I talked to some Mercedes managers recently, and I asked them, why are you doing this? Everyone likes it when you get feedback when that thing is moving. And, I asked them, is it like about cost savings, Is it cheaper to produce it that way? And they said, no, it's actually more expensive to produce it in a capacitive way, and also with the capacitive buttons and, screens instead of analog instruments. So things that we might say this for cost savings. No, they told me actually it's more expensive. But then I asked myself, who wants high gloss black, capacitive buttons, and these fields you cannot move. I don't want them. You also don't want them, I guess, because all the comments I've been reading is, no, we don't want that. And then they do that, although they're more expensive to produce. I don't get it. Do you? Interior overview, super clean layout indeed. And I do like these air vents here on the top. And they also have clicking sound. So, and also illumination. So that's really beautifully done. Here you can also get this carbon fiber design. That looks really fancy and racy. The only catch is when you have carbon fiber here, you can only go for the high gloss black in this part. And everyone wants to get rid of that. At least the customers I know and reading your comments. So this area can also be bought in a non-high gloss way, like in a silver or in a checkered structure, but then only without the carbon fiber, and that's what I would actually go for. You can see here this vertical setup of the screen, zoom more detail to that. One more thing in advance, climate unit will always be here. At least it stays in the same position and is for a touch solution relatively easy to handle. The driving modes will be accessed here with that AMG, but once again here, see? It's the like one button design again. Come on, Mercedes. But this looks very cool. The visualizations of the screen, they look really fancy. So either you can put it right here, these driving modes here. And it does not have an eco mode, but just an ice or slippery mode, actually. And then in Sport and Sport Plus, you can use the new launch control, which will be possible due to the 9-speed automatic with wet clutch. Interesting. And here on the right side, then we can control the driving modes as well on the steering wheel. This, of course, is easier to do than to do it in the middle screen there. And the size of the steering wheel is really, really cool. That's extremely good. You can also start up the engine if you like here. And so the size to control, to handle it, I really love that. Shifting pedals, also nice. And you already hear it from the outside that the exhaust, it's really nice already when it's on the inside, especially when the windows are down. So this is a very nice sporty cockpit. And here, put in the gears, D, P, press here, reverse is up like this. And in reverse mode, then you can see also here the rear view camera. And someone will walk past right now. Yeah. Okay, thank you, good sample. And this also this so-called fake drone view from above, let me call it that way. And let's continue here with the infotainment system, because here you can see this is then the map. It's actually quite responsive, so that's actually okay. The screen does get very hot in summertime, though. One more thing I can show you right here, because this is in the home screen. Here, this menu, you do have the track pace AMG here. Then you can get some race telemetry, for example, drag race recording. Okay. In a normal street legal car, interesting. Well, but the normal menu like this is accessed right here. MBUX, of course, also with the voice input, and you can get Apple CarPlay or Android Auto, and then it looks like this. For example, here for the YouTube Music, you can get this home screen, or this is the normal Apple CarPlay integration. That looks, really very wide. And yeah, maybe we use YouTube Music today. You can get it with YouTube Premium, by the way. Then you can also watch our videos without advertisement. And well, the sound of the Burmester sound system is actually like really rich and quite bass intensive as well. Head-up display also gets this performance gauge that you could have the RPM right in line of sight. This is an option, by the way, the head-up display. Digital instruments also have AMG specific graphics. However, you can also change that here. Super Sport, but you can also go for a normal sport gauge like this. So whatever suits you best, classic and so on. Or also if you want to rather focus on the GPS, like this. Now the rear seating area. Let's take a look here first. Great quality. So the build quality indeed is really, really good. That looks nice. Good finish. Here also, when we compare to our studio episode, here we see that this car is more finished and also everything, from the contrast stitches very well aligned. And then let's take a seat here. Well, this might be different than also performance seat and the normal sport seat. Remember that this C-Class generation has the longer wheelbase, so it's supposed to give you more legroom. And I feel that these sport seats, sometimes they are slim and actually, change also legroom. But here also they are in a way stiff, but then also quite long, and I don't have too much legroom in the combination with these performance seats, so I guess that the normal sports seats will do better here in that case. Headroom is, for me as a tall person, okay. It will be a little bit better than in the Estate version. You can also check out our studio episode where we did compare the Estate version with that. Seating comfort in general, as for the seating for the rear bench, is, I would say, okay. Nothing special indeed. And since this one here is permanent all-wheel drive, the distribution is, by the way, 30% front, 70% in the rear. There's this huge middle tunnel here as well. You can see it right there. Once again, with one button fits it all, rear climate unit. So to sit in the middle part here is possible, but not too comfortable. But 4 tall adults you can easily house here in this vehicle. 455 liters for the sedan trunk, 490 for the Estate, by the way. The length here you can see is a meter, and also the width you can see is a good meter or 40 inches indeed. And the cool thing here is, well, let's put you with the height here first, here about 50 centimeters or 20 inches. Here we have these folding mechanisms. It's really rare for a sedan, and they indeed directly fold flat. That's really, really good. So extremely well done. Just that hard plastic part here is not Mercedes-alike, I feel. And the total length here is about 1 meters 80 or 70 inches. Launch control, 0 to 80 kilometers an hour. Plop. Woo! That was a little bit more than 80, but no one saw that. Gladly the speed is blocked for that camera. Well, but when I said plop, it was 0 to 80 for that race start, how Mercedes calls it. Easily done now. Sport or Sport Plus mode. Hammer the brake with the left foot and hammer the throttle with your right foot, and that's it. There were times when AMG race start was done like holding the pedals first both same time, then the right and left, and then ESC off, blah, blah, blah. Now it's really easily done, but of course nothing for public roads. Right? Okay.
Yes, Thomas.
Thank you, Michelle. And oh, there's the speed camera. They put that up on purpose now. Is that maybe because this is one of the Mercedes testing routes here in France? Hello. Yeah. I never drive too fast, by the way. Yeah. And now we have some great winding roads here in the Vosges region in France. Really, really beautiful. And we can test all of the different features of that vehicle. By the way, already at that race start, rear wheel bias of that all-wheel drive. Standard setup is 30% in the front, 70% in the rear, and we feel that rear wheel bias, and also here that rear axle steering. You feel that the rear is helping you a little bit coming around. Not that extreme as we know from the competition, because here maximum is 2.5 degrees, but helps you while easing out in the parking lot, basement garage, and here also when I'm going right left, for example, you feel that the car is more agile, and because they put that threshold up here, I'm driving 70 kilometers an hour now. In the normal C-Class, I would not feel that agility difference than from the rear axle steering anymore, because threshold is at 60 kilometers an hour, or like 37 miles per hour. Here, threshold, where it changes from opposite steering of the rear wheels to parallel, is 100 kilometers an hour or 60 miles an hour. And here I do still feel that at this speed, and that's really cool. Steering setup, very good. Wow. I mean, we know from Mercedes that they tend to have steering setups where you steer more than, for example, with Audi or BMW. Now here, the steering setup is awesome. Very natural, but here also I don't have to steer too much. Ah, that's beautiful. It feels amazing indeed. So the steering size, the steering ratio, at the same time natural feeling, then the rear axle steering. This vehicle gives you such a great flow in handling. So I'm really amazed by that. It feels extremely balanced also weight-wise. Here when I'm going some left-right here now, there you do extremely feel that rear axle steering makes it more agile. Michelle also like, this guy is like
A bit bonkers.
Yeah, bonkers, yeah. Sometimes I am, but yeah, that's what car enthusiasts do at some point. But yeah, you sure?
It's all good.
It's all good, okay. So, I mean, it feels like a smaller vehicle indeed. This mid-size sedan segment here, or mid-size estate then for the estate will not drive any differently, if you compare to the sedan. Wow. But that balance handling here, I really have such a great flow, and indeed the 4-cylinder feels quite light on the front axle, and sound-wise we also have a nice feedback here on the interior. The Sport Plus mode also lets me do everything a little bit more loose. Of course, dry road, so it won't have the greatest effect. But however, in the Sport Plus mode here, the gears are being kept low, so I'm in lower gear always, and also the shifting up is later. I can always use the shifting pedals, which give a nice feedback as well, and then I can be a gear lower also, just intentionally. It's a really nice feedback sound-wise. So indeed, from driving sound-wise and performance-wise, you do not feel as you would be missing these 6-cylinders. If you know this channel, you know that I am a fan of 6-cylinders. I also fancy electric vehicles, but I usually say like, come on, when you buy a petrol engine and go for more cylinders, but less horsepower, that you can keep it at low RPMs and you also have good durability. So I'm really not a fan of tuned engines in a way, putting low displacement, low cylinder count, and then putting so much horsepower in it. That can't be good, at some point from an engineering perspective. But from the driving experience we get, actually, I am surprised indeed. I was very skeptical and I don't like the concept of downsizing, but here the performance we have, that really feels amazing. Shifting up ourselves now in the Sport Plus mode also. Here with shifting yourself, you can be more extreme. You feel the difference? So when I'm in the automatic mode, I keep the RPMs a little bit lower. I can have an extreme flow with this vehicle indeed. It shifts up a little bit earlier than as well, even in the Sport Plus mode, and I can really flow through the corners, keep it very smooth. That's really cool, And then, like here, for example, in this corner, rather silent and so on. But when I do the shifting myself, then I can really put it in a more aggressive way. Here a shift up, here a shift down, and so on and so on. By the way, here you've maybe seen it here in the infotainment now. There is this augmented reality function. It's an option that you can see arrows when you have to turn, when you have a GPS route set. This is a very helpful feature and exactly shows you what you need to do and where you need to go. That is a cool thing, definitely. And here in town, for example, go back to the comfort mode. Then it's also more silent. Once again, great handling. Wow. So I really have to say, handling-wise and how smooth and balanced the car feels, this is really a big step forward from the previous generation. I'm still not convinced in the engineering sense that it makes sense to get rid of these 2 cylinders. I do prefer the 6 cylinders like you have from the, like the M340i or, what is that? On these, our French views, like, that are these, hey, I'm a beginner driver, right? Yeah, that may be the thing. Yeah. Sorry, that was discriminating against beginner drivers. Sorry about that. So now we can overtake very soon, I hope. We go back to the Sport Plus mode. So that speed limit should be lifted now because it was going off. And when you think about safe overtaking maneuvers, you gotta have some more power, right? So it's safer to overtake when you have some more power, right? That might be in a discussion at home which vehicle to get. Say like, hey, I do need a performance vehicle. For example, right now the speed limit is lifted and I think I can... It's a corner. Shall we go for it? Now. Here we go. Yeah, really good performance. That is a moment where I feel like that would have uphill, and that would have been different with a 6-cylinder, wouldn't it? So, yeah, cylinder count-wise, I'm not that convinced that it's good. Turbo lag wise, I have to say, we have to differentiate, when we are here in this more, winding corner, racy situation and so on, and for example, we shift down ourselves, then we do feel that it's actually quite cool. Wow, that is what I mean, There's no, Michelle like, sorry about that. So here, there's indeed instant torque. So that is quite cool. And this Formula One technology, thanks Lewis, this is indeed helping. Wow, great racy feeling. There's, however, something different when we're driving in the city in the comfort mode. I felt that earlier. And I don't think that's turbocharger related. It must be more like automatic transmission related. So sometimes when you are in the comfort mode and you drive slowly, you get again on the brakes, and then you start again, you have, now not, but you have sometimes situations where in the moment you hit the throttle, there's a downshifting taking place, and you feel like, ooh, the car is, lagging behind. So that's no turbo lag, that's maybe transmission lag. So we did feel that earlier in city driving at some point where we thought like, wait a minute, is that really correct? So not 100% convinced of the transmission. Transmissed? Yeah, whatever. So that is something I did feel in city driving. However, now in agile driving, it does do a very good job. So yeah, I mean, so many things to talk about with this vehicle, from the pure handling experience and also performance on paper. This can easily also be a C63, and we know that the C63 also will stick with the 4-cylinder. They will probably just tune it a little bit more, make it a little bit stiffer from suspension. So it now seems that in this generation, the C63 is kind of useless. You can easily go for the C43, and also pricing-wise, this is more expensive than the competition. You can get a nicely spec'd Audi S5 for like 90k, and this one here is some 100k, with all the extras and so on. So they will be more expensive than the competition. And when you then think about you spend more money but get less cylinders, sorry Mercedes engineers, that's not making sense to me. But still, I have to admit, you did a great job, Mercedes engineers, as for the whole handling experience. So it can be very smooth, it can be very aggressive. This car can indeed do both. The driving experience is really amazing. I love it. I really love it. But I can't get over the cylinder effect. Is it just me, or what do you think about it? Consumption-wise, by the way, as we can expect, leaving the agile driving aside, when you also do some cruise control and so on, this engine will not be fuel saving. It will be emission-wise and fuel economy-wise on paper. That's why they do it, to get lower in the EU emissions rating. But in reality, you can easily calculate with some 10, 11 liters on mile kilometers, so like 20 something mpg US, 25 mpg UK. So did I do that now? Interesting. Or were there some drops in? I don't know. Sometimes strange things happen in these new modern vehicles. Everything is automated. Not everything, but most of the stuff definitely. So indeed, downsizing doesn't make sense for fuel economy. It does only do so on paper. Yeah, it's really the thing about this vehicle, You have great design in here. We have seen that user interface-wise, can also be, okay, what happened? It can also be easier at times, and we don't like the hashtag capacitive BS buttons, but the handling experience is purely amazing. So you will have a lot of fun with this vehicle. The performance seats here, it is more or less okay, but nothing especially comfortable. They do hold you tight in corners, that's good. I would still stay with my verdict and pick the normal sport seats to give you a little bit more comfort. And also, when you pick the standard setup, at least in most markets, and stick with the microfiber, the micro cut called now, on the inside of the seats, this will also give you more comfort and also more breathability in hot summer climate, that the seats stay a little bit cooler, and of course not that cold in wintertime as it is here with the animal skin. So from a pure driving fun, I can do this really all day. We have a great route here for you. I hope you really enjoyed it the same way that we do. Yeah, really awesome, and also with that rear wheel bias. Yeah, that's really, really great. But the thing really remains that when you are in this very segment, people want a 6-cylinder, period. That's at least my take on that. But I can't deny the fact that it is so much fun to drive this vehicle. You should compare the Audi S5, we have a review of that, and of course the BMW M340i. See at these reviews.